they will give you always the best rate.
They connect to Binance, HitBTC, LMAX, and Kraken.
What I like about SwissBorg is that they have an amazing app.
Pow wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. Pow number 15, and I'm super excited to be with you guys. Today, we're going to deep dive into love the community, then talk about what's happened on the macro perspective, talk about a little about SwissBorg token, and the announcement of a new listing. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazel, proud founder, CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. First question of the week goes to Nick, our dear friend. When is we're going to have a keynote? When is that going to happen? So right after that, I was like, yes. And we're figuring out the dates. And it looked like there's going to be the possibility to do this in June. Thinking about having one in Lausanne, like always, a big one. And then I was trying to think if it would make sense to have one as well in Paris, and maybe another one in London. Like that would have one in Switzerland, one in France, and one in UK. What's your thoughts? If there's other cities that we should be coming, let us know, and we'll make it happen. Crazy, but this is happening with Euro, but as well with the dollar, the Fed, and as well the ECB, the European Central Bank, our dear and lovely Christine Lagarde has said explicitly that we should be planning a digital euro, a CBDC, probably very soon. So this is something obviously going to take more time than we want. It's not as like launching a decentralized stable coin, but it's really looking that we're going to this direction, which is going to bring just more institutions to actually get into Web3, because they will be issuing probably CBDCs on a blockchain, and the banks will be able to get those essentially euros or those dollars, digital dollars, through blockchain. So this is very encouraging for all overall. Please note that NASDAQ now already have some wallets, and a lot of other different exchanges, like in Switzerland, like SIX, already have their ways to have essentially wallets and have not centralized exchanges with crypto. So this is very, very good for our industry, of course. And the last news is happening tonight at midnight 25. Chapella is about to happen, the upgrade where we'll finally be able to show how cool the merge is about, with Ethereum being able to finally be offering more liquid staking. So this is very, very positive news for the industry. Okay, so now let's talk about macro. Let's talk about where we're heading, the market cycles. As you still know, in general, the macro pictures in the global economy is not great, right? There's been essentially a huge storm by bringing the rates higher that really slowed down the global economy. The inflation, the war, commodity prices going higher didn't help at all. But nevertheless, the employment essentially data from last week were quite good. What we're seeing as well, especially, which is very good, is that in certain times, we are going flying to security or to try to invest into something that's uncorrelated to the market. For the last 50 years or more, there was gold and Swiss franc. And now, finally, yes, you could say it, Bitcoin is playing its price. It's up 70% since the beginning of the year, which is quite phenomenal. It's just quite crazy when you see that, like, mostly other things are, up 5%, 10% an average. So it really shows that Bitcoin is playing its place. It's really, what we know is that the BTC gold right now, as you can see here, it's really quite correlated because, again, people are playing Bitcoin as the new digital gold, which is what it is. So SafeN is definitely the term to see. And what I like very much here is that BTC and NASDAQ is very uncorrelated, which shows again that Bitcoin is really, really playing its original move, which is not necessarily something that should be correlated to NASDAQ and tech stocks, but should be decorrelated, is uncorrelated when shit happens. And I think so this is really something that I like seeing, and is exactly what we should be pushing going forward. But does this mean we're heading towards a bull market right away or not? Well, some people could say this is a sign that crypto is going to go to the moon, and by the end of the year, we will discover all times high. That is a possibility. Another possibility is to see that we're in a bull trap, right? Where essentially we have a now nice bounce back, and then essentially things do not go as planned. Well, what it means is that, like right now, stock markets, we have some headwinds, which is that it has high interest rates. And as there's been some good news, there's a very high chance that the Fed will be hiking essentially its rates, and therefore people will probably still be investing in treasury bonds and things that are very lowly risky and to some extent. We still know that with the collapse of SBB, the recent stress test with Credit Suisse, we're talking about Deutsche Bank as well, and other different tests. The banks are still shaky. Tech companies are letting staff go. I don't necessarily see that as a really bad sign. I see that, of course, Meta, for example, are spending less in advertisement. Everyone's spending less in advertisement. Therefore, there's a less essentially money being made, and less revenue. But at the same time, there's essentially less costs to those companies. So I don't see that as too bad. At the same time, what we could see is that in the short run, we will probably not have a massive bull. But what I always like to think is that we've seen that recently the Fed has printed some dollars, right? And most probably it will raise rates again. And if there's another problem, it will again essentially print some money. So I still feel that it's probably going to be a volatile time, but it still has a solid foundation. And more importantly, I think so Bitcoin itself has a really good play, and crypto in general has a really great play because it's finally showing the world that, dollar doesn't make sense. There's BTC for that, and it's much better. Centralized exchanges and the regular stock market has a great play, but DEXs are growing and DeFi is growing. We're seeing a lot of new different things. So the new catalyst to bring, I think so, this market to a new all-time high will be done through a new industry into, I think, in Web3, and maybe this would be video games. Maybe this would be social media fi, not sure how to say that. But there's definitely need a big new interest to bring a lot of users and then discover that we're gonna go through a massive rally. Stars of the week. This week's not one person, but it's many people. And I want to say congratulations to you, Nick, for the question, but as well for earning $500 and doing 51 essentially quests. Arakin from SwissBorg, 50 quests. Crypto Jazz, 48. And May Yound, very good for 48 quests. There's a lot nice list behind there. For those who don't know what people have been doing, they've been building an open world and be doing a lot of really cool things. It's quite amazing to see all of this. So thank you very much for the love, for all of that. There's going to be more and more cool stuff to be played into SwissBorg Metaverse. I really love it. So please enjoy it as much as you can. And for those who haven't joined yet, you know what to do. Community events you want to visit, you want to meet. Well, there's things that are going to happen physical and as well online. Tomorrow, we'll have in Fribourg a really cool meeting at La Sintra Gastropart. And I invite all of you guys to Crans-Montana on Thursday to have MetaFest. It's going to be a really cool event talking about Web3, how this is going to evolve. It will then go with some comedians, DJs, and some party. So I'm really looking forward for all of you guys to join us. Free tickets to the winner that has the coolest post about MetaFest on Twitter. So just tag us and tag MetaFest, and you'll be potentially winning 2 different tickets to get to MetaFest. So looking forward to see you guys there. It'll be a lot of fun. Product update. It is the dog, the controversial dog of SwissBorg. Doge has finally been listed. Some of you guys saying why. Some of you the people are saying this doesn't make sense. Democratizing wealth management, making it fun, fair, and community-centric. I think so. Doge is fun. I think though Doge is, at least we listed in a fair way because we've been asking for many times. And there's definitely a huge community behind it. Let's talk more about Doge. So Dodge, what it is, essentially it's a meme coin. It was invented, I think so in 2015 or 16 as a joke. Australian guys like, let's just make this really fun, cool token and, you know, just leave it as it is. It might be a payment to buy stickers, it might be whatever, and just continue this movement. I met a lot of people in 2017, 18 as well, which were like just creating these cool dance parades with Dodge. Just fun things. So just fun people doing fun things and promoting this beautiful Shiba Inu for the piece of saying, why not make something fun? And we know now that this has one of the biggest community in the world, right, behind Dodge, right? That's something that you could see in terms of wallets. It's the biggest, but as well in terms of community online. If we look at for example Dodge on Twitter, it's just crazy the number of people who follow it. 3.7 million. And whenever there's a thing, you see at 14,000, 16,000 likes and so many retweets. Of course, many of them are probably, it might be, they might be some robots, but there are so many wallets there. And it's really fun. I think so. It really is fun. For the story about myself, about Dodge, I bought some Dodge in very early 17. Totally forgot about it on the wallet. And then I realized it was roughly here, and it went from 2 cents to 4 cents. I think so. Yeah, a little 4 cents. And I was like, wow, did 100%. And I sold all my Dogecoins. And then look what happened. From 4 cents, it went all the way up to 60 cents. Well, that's my story with Dodge. But it is what it is. What we see here, it's that it's very highly volatile, of course, like many cryptos. What we know, of course, behind there's Elon Musk, there's a lot of smart people, there's actually developers trying to make the protocol better. We know that the recent craziness on Twitter, where essentially Elon Musk is playing around with taking out the tweet and bringing in Dodge instead. It is what it is, Dodge, at the end. It's still a really fun meme token that has a huge community. It's a very volatile type of token. We know it could essentially pump and it could dump really quickly. We see that what happened with this Twitter scandal with obviously Ellen behind it pumping, but the dump right after happened. It's a really fun one to hold. It's a very fun one to trade. I would never recommend people to put a lot of their wealth into this, but having a small portion of it, why not? And the funny story, the last story about this, back in 2019, when we were about to release the premium strategy with Anthony, we said back then, you know what? Let's probably do a premium for Dodge. So if you lock like a certain amount of Dodge coins, well, then you would have like special offers. And we didn't do it because a lot of people thought it was like a very bad idea, but economically that would have been a great idea actually. So all in all, it is what it is. Please take in consideration one thing is that I think so, I don't know how much, but a huge portion of Dodge coins are held by a very small amount, essentially, of people. So the founders themselves and other people. So that's something I don't really enjoy that much. But overall, I think so. It's great to have on the app. It's a great way for democratizing essentially crypto to people, and a lot of people love that Shiba Inu. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'm Roma. I'm pretty sure at least you do. So a follow-up from essentially the hero score from last week. I think so. This is something is really, really cool. The Guardian of CHSB is going to be bringing more and more ways to give your voice, but as well train you to get to be a better person, to be a healthy habits, building healthy habits to becoming wealthy, which is very, very important here. I saw the different criterias for the first season. I won't talk about it right away because I'll let the people say it, but it's going to happen quite soon. So I'm very excited about this. You'll have to opt in on every season in order to be part of this new wonderful competition, healthy competition, put it that way, with yourself and other people. And yeah, looking forward to this. And obviously, this will have iterations, always trying to improve how you, again, could build the healthy habits in order to become wealthy. Charts of the week, we got some data from are you in the profit or not? So people from 2020, most of you guys are actually in the profit, which is really good to see that. But people that actually started in 2021, there's a very high percentage of people that are not in the profit. And essentially, if you took from last year, well, 60% of people, roughly 60% of people are actually in the profit. So it really shows when you start, because obviously the market then fluctuates and goes, up, goes down. And this is the why it's very important to build the healthy habits to become wealthy, essentially. Like, for example, DCA, dollar cost average, is a good way always to be in the market. It's not because the markets are boring that you shouldn't, look at these markets. What I've said in December, if you guys remember, is that we're not going to have multiple negative years. It just doesn't happen. It's a human factor. It's like when people are depressed, then it essentially shrinks the volume of the market. And then when no one is looking at what's happening in the market, then people start suddenly, go on full mode. Most people miss the opportunity to invest, and you see massive rallies. The rally that have happened with Bitcoin from 16 to 30,000 in 3 months is quite insane. We're talking about 80% of essentially a ride in only 3 months, right? So this is going to happen then for probably Ethereum, and then we'll see some alts going as well, quite wild, which is great. So this is why I think so it's very always important to look into the markets and be able to essentially invest a little bit every other month to buy or to sell. It depends on what are you coming in, when you're getting out, what's your strategy, but always be able to set especially good ways. In the app today, we have notifications that could be sent saying like, okay, I bought Bitcoin at, let's say, 50,000, okay? Now you have the possibility to buy at 30,000. And if you bought for $100 Bitcoin or $1,000 of Bitcoin, and now you put in 1,000 euros again to buy Bitcoin, well, then you go from 50,000 essentially to 40,000, right? And if you believe in Bitcoin, well, and you have more money, maybe you can even double that up. You buy essentially $2,000 right now of Bitcoin at 30,000, and therefore the price gets even lower than that, probably something at 35,000. So I think so. This is the good way of thinking how you should invest and have the great habits of always being in the market, train yourself to get to be better. CHSB data, a little bit slow, but the great thing is that we finally got to 150,000 CHSB token holders in the app. For that, I think so there was some comments that were done in the videos in the past, so we'll check out who was the winner. This is a big milestone for us. Very, very excited about that. Sad is that last week was a little bit slow on the new premium, only 262, unfortunately, which brings us to the community index. Cast your votes, and it's not as good as last week. 5.4. Essentially, app activity was slightly better. CHSB holders obviously growing a lot, but the rust was pretty bearish. Not too much, but a little bit because of, I think so, maybe was the long weekend, and people were chasing eggs or bunnies and not focusing so much on their wealth. Borgers, looking forward to see many of you hopefully after tomorrow at MetaFest. It's going to be really cool to meet in person. Even better to have as well, of course, our keynote in Switzerland and hopefully other places as well. I strongly believe that we're going in the right direction. I have one question for you though, is as they're trying to bring more and more on-chain activity into SwissBorg, what you think would be the very best one that SwissBorg should really invest? Should it be a DEX? Should it be derivatives? Should it be social media-fi? Should it be more into gaming? What are the things that you believe will bring mass adoption and could help to boost SwissBorg network and, of course, our dear CHSB token? As always, be wealthy, be healthy. love our CHSB and our equity. Take care, guys. Bye.
Through SwissBorg, all assets will have a fiat gateway. And here is the thing.
Premium features gives you zero fee trading.
It's an amazing fiat gateway.